Good evening, everyone. My name is Yogesh, and once again, most welcome to the series of webinars powered by Century Financial. We have been doing these webinars from a very long time, and every week we try to come up with new and different topics, something which can be of more information, something which could be a trending topic, or sometimes just for a very normal platform training or technical analysis, which can help you understanding the nature of financial markets. Before we start, there is something which I would like to say. I see a lot of familiar names right now added to this particular webinar. A lot of people have attended my previous session. So welcome first to those people who have attended my previous sessions. Obviously, this is a different topic. It's a new topic, so you're most welcome. And I see a lot of new people also added this one. So I think it's a mixed crowd and it's amazing. What I'll try to do is make it more interactive. Now that can be done on a chat window, which is available next to you. So if you have any questions, queries, anything you would like to ask related to financial markets, please go ahead, type your question. I'll try to finish this session and answer your question also. In case if I don't have the answer to your question, I'll definitely go back to my research guys and try to make this easier for you and give you a possible answer. If you can hear me properly, if you can see my presentation, just give me a yes or a okay or a thumbs up, anything, so I can get a slight idea that you're able to hear me, because there could be a lot of network congestion. A lot of companies are doing webinars at these times, so just want to make sure that my communication is flawless reaching to you. Please do use your chat options. Give me a yes or okay, so I know that you can hear me properly. Okay, once again, I repeat, guys, this is a test. So if you can hear me properly, give me a yes or give me a okay. If you can see my presentation, if you can hear me properly, just type on your chat option and you'll be able to send me a message. Just send a yes or a okay, that's all. All right, I'm getting few yeses, and that's all right. Some of you are sending it. Okay, clear. Okay, clear. Okay, clear. Fine. So I'm assuming that most of the people can hear me. And in case if there is a disruption somewhere, and if you're not able to clearly see this or hear this, you can go onto our YouTube channel, and later on it will be recorded. The recording will be put on YouTube, and you can go ahead with this. Right. So today's topic is trading with economic indicators, and it's a very specific topic in regards to understanding the economic indicators or the market data events which come every day. So over a period of time, we'll go to a live platform also and see how we can look into the market data and how to interpret it before we are taking a trade. We are also going to understand the very meaning and information about these events. Now, to begin with, please understand whatever we will discuss or whatever strategies we are going to talk about, none of this should be taken as a recommendation. Please, whatever you hear, this is for information purposes only. So you can always come back to us, go back to your financial consultants, or come to us and we'll explain you how to trade, or we'll help you learn or understand the trading and the risk involved in it. Because please do not borrow money for this. Do not take a loan from anyone to trade or to invest into the financial markets. There is a lot of risk which can prevail. Starting further, we are talking about economic events today. If it helps, please do take a notepad. Like I have one for myself. Take a notepad, have a pen, and try to write the information down. Uh, Now, when we are talking about economic events and when we are talking about impact of data, what events am I talking about? Let's try to make it more and more interactive, guys. What is a market event? So I'll start with this. Market event could be anything which is a piece of information or a sentiment or a rumor which is moving the prices of a stock, which otherwise would have not been similar. Just one second. Okay. Now, guys, once again, I think there was some issue with the chat options. I think just try to send a chat now. It will be easier. I think half of you were able to send me the chat. The other half was not able to. So I think it was just pointed out. I think now it is enabled for everyone. I think there was a user-based issue. Please just send me a test chat. Just want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Extremely sorry for the disruption. I just want to make sure that the chat options are working fine. Great. So when we talk about market events, we talk about the fact any piece of information which affects the price of security or financial instrument like stocks or gold or currencies or anything. Now, if that news would not have come and the price would not have moved, so that is something what we call a relevant piece of information. Or when we talk about economic event, an event can have the impact on gold prices, on stock prices. So it's basically the market news we are talking about. Tell me, I'm doing this poll right now. There's a poll right now currently on your screen. I feel that me talking throughout the time will be very boring for you. So here's a small poll. Are you trading or investing in any cryptocurrency? And that doesn't mean just only Bitcoin. It could be Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, Cardano, Stellar, Ripple. So many cryptocurrencies right now. Do vote for this. So I'll get an idea of how many people are trading or investing. Anyone who doesn't know how to do it, do select the third option, please. I mean, more than that, this is a session for everything. So I'll obviously give you a glimpse of how it works or not. I'll keep this poll open just in case more of you join and try to answer this question. So trading or investing in cryptocurrency or in Bitcoin, those who are doing it, what is the reason? Write it over the chat. And those who are not trading in Bitcoin, what is the reason? Because I think most of you have said no in the poll. Tell me, those who are not trading or investing in cryptocurrency, what's your reason? Maybe in 1 word, 2 words, whatever you feel about it. Write it over the chat. What is it? Do you think it's not a real currency? It's highly volatile. Okay, I get one answer. It's highly volatile. That's correct. What else? So volatility is one. Too risky. Correct. And it's too risky because one, it is too volatile. Okay, someone said don't know how to do this. Not knowing, again, it's a this is something which can be worked on. Lost a huge sum in the past. That is something which is really important. Lost a huge sum. So obviously somebody who has lost a lot of money in this could understand that the fluctuations which happen in cryptocurrency is not normal. This is not something, and we'll get some time when we'll go through the chart of Bitcoin also and how it has moved. But now those people, so those who have lost money, those who think it's high risky, high volatile, what is the reason of so much volatility? Now, obviously, there is very few fundamentals Bitcoin will relate to. But of lately, why Bitcoin specifically rallied first was because of the tweet of Elon Musk, who said that Tesla has bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoins, and Tesla is planning to accept Bitcoins also in the future. Now, that was something. Elon Musk is world's richest man. Tesla has rallied. It has gone up. The stock is performing really well in last 1 year. So a lot of mileage, a lot of such kind of endorsement actually pushed Bitcoins higher. And this is something which we normally see whenever such kind of tweets come in. If you have seen in last 4 years, Twitter was in the news because of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was not in the news because of Twitter. Twitter was the thing because Donald Trump continued to tweet market information or something, a piece of information which always sometimes pushed markets higher, sometimes pushed markets lower, whether it was about tariffs, whether it was about trade war or pandemic or Brexit, anything. It was Donald Trump tweeted and it affected the stock markets. So when we look at market related information, one is fundamentals, which kind of involves every kind of information and news. In case of a company, it is their earnings results, the report card, which comes every third quarter, which shows that how much money or how much revenue or profit a company has generated. So on the basis of that, the stock price of the company moves higher and lower, right? Similarly, there are few important macroeconomic related news which affects the price of stock markets, of gold, oil, currencies, and again, as I said, index. So a lot of news which comes on daily basis impacts the prices of all these things. Now, we'll start first. The first to understand the top 5 economic news, which are very important for you as a day trader to look into. Especially if you're a day trader, you should definitely keep a check on these important news. First and foremost is FOMC meeting. FOMC meeting or any central bank. When I say FOMC meeting, friends, this is specifically FOMC stands for Federal Open Market Committee, and Central Bank of US is called Federal Reserve Bank. So there is a committee prepared in Federal Reserve, which is US's central bank, a specific committee prepared to take decisions on increasing or decreasing interest rates. That is called a Federal Open Market Committee, which is also called FOMC. This meeting happens 8 times in 1 year, and when they meet, they discuss about whether to increase the interest rates or whether to decrease the interest rates. And when I talk about interest rates, I mean to say the cost of borrowing. When you take a loan from a bank charges you the interest, right? At what rate it charges you? Now that rate which commercial bank gives you, they first is determined by central bank, and then commercial bank checks those rates and then adds on to it and then charges the customer. So if commercial bank like ADCB or Emirates NBD keeps their money with the central bank of UAE, then central bank will charge them an interest rate. So that's a deposit rate. When they borrow money from central bank, they will be charged with one rate. So that is something, again, whenever a bank borrows from the central bank, they are charged a specific rate. When individuals like us borrow from commercial banks, we are charged a rate. So first thing is, if central bank tweaks the interest rates or the cost of borrowing, the commercial banks also have to. And how it impacts, first of all, what it impacts? It impacts the currency. In case of US, it impacts dollar. If it is a central bank of Europe, which is called European Central Bank or ECB. If it's a Japanese central bank, then it is called Bank of Japan or BOJ. If it is Chinese central bank, then it is called People's Bank of China. And last but not the least, in India, it is Reserve Bank of India, which is also called RBI. Now, all these central banks, they are concerned with taking decisions regarding to interest rates. As I said, when I'm talking about interest rates, specifically from US point of view, I'm talking about the cost of borrowing. Now, how FOMC meeting impacts the prices of dollar and commodities and stock markets is because the most important decision which is taken by the central bank is whether the interest rates of the central bank should increase, which means be, should credit be made more expensive or it should be made more cheaper. If let's understand, if central bank increases the interest rates, which means when commercial banks are borrowing from central bank, they are paying a heavy price as an interest, which means they also increase their proportion, which means today if I am borrowing from any bank, I will have to pay a higher interest because central bank has increased the interest. Now, when I know that the interest I have to pay is higher, then I might have to think again when I'm borrowing it. Maybe there was a requirement, maybe I have to buy a car, but when I look at interest rates, or interest rates are very expensive right now, I should not borrow. My car can wait, for example. So in that case, what happened? Because borrowing has become so expensive for me, I'm not going to borrow more funds. I'm not going to take more money, or I'm not going to borrow money from the bank. Think one individual like me, and then think about the businesses. Lot of businesses, they borrow money from the banks to invest, expand, develop, increase their production. And when they don't borrow because of the higher interest rate or higher interest rates or higher borrowing cost, the production is not going to increase. When production doesn't increase, which means the revenue will be limited, which means the employment will be limited, the labor will be limited, right? On the other hand, if the interest rates are reduced and the credit has become cheaper, then the companies will borrow more. Production will increase, employment will increase, economic activity will also increase, and the money in people's pocket also increases. So this interest rate cycle kind of is used to increase or decrease the cash in people's pocket, right? So in that case, what happens today, and why banks have to think about increasing or decreasing cash supply? Tell me today, if everyone in the world, and please write the answer of this on the chat, if everyone today has all the money they need to buy essentials, what will happen to the prices of essential products? Let's say if everyone has the money to buy all the essential products as much as they can, what happens to the prices of essential products? Essential products means FMCG, toothpaste, toilet papers, food, soaps, etc. If they have the potential, if everybody has the money to buy everything they want in whatever capacity, for example, if they want to buy more, they will go for. The prices will start going higher, right? Why? Because everybody has money in their pockets and they are demanding more and more. They are not thinking about, should I stop, should I halt? What happens when demand is too high but the supply is less? The prices go up, rightly put by some people over here. So when that is happening, what is happening? Inflation is happening. Inflation is neither good nor bad, which means inflation has a certain percentage till which it should be handled. And central banks have given a target to the countries to maintain 2% inflation. If it reaches near 2% or starts increasing more than that, it's an alarming situation. And the central bank will increase the interest rates to reduce the supply of cash in people's pocket, right? Because if inflation is too high and if it keeps increasing, which means sometimes the higher inflation might lead things become so expensive that eventually people have no money to buy it and there might be unemployment leading to it. So when that happens, hyperinflation situation or stagflation happens, something which is happening in Venezuela right now. In Venezuela, if somebody receives a cash, he or she would immediately, today itself, change it and buy a bread or a commodity to it because they know that today the value of the currency which they have in their hands, tomorrow it's going to be way lower than this. So they're immediately changing their currency into a commodity. right? So this is an example of a hyperinflation. That's why the central banks have to interfere and tweak interest rates to make sure that inflation is managed. There is not too much decline, because deflation is also not good, and too much inflation is also not good. So they try to balance it by tweaking the interest rates. Now, as an investor, how does this affect you? First, when the supply of cash increases by reducing the interest rate, because when interest rates reduced, everybody is borrowing, people have a lot of cash in their pockets, right? When that happens, the supply of dollar increases, which means demand of dollar was X, but now supply is now this much, which means the value of dollar depreciates, right? This particular step is taken when inflation is too low in the economy. That's where the credit becomes cheaper and it is widely available. So demand is less for the dollar, but supply increases due to reducing interest rates. In that case, what will happen to dollar? What happens to the value of dollar if the supply of dollar increases while the demand is low? What do you think will happen to the price of dollar? Whether it will increase or it will decrease? Please write in the chat option. If the supply of dollar increases while the demand is low, what happens to the value of dollar? Does it depreciates or it appreciates? Does it goes down or it goes up? The price of dollar if the supply increases. Okay, I got one answer. Got second, third. Okay. Those who have not answered, go ahead. Please answer. Let's try to make it more interactive. The most boring person over here is me, so I don't want you to. Perfect. Great. I'm getting good answer. Everybody's on the same page. Depreciate, down, decrease, dollar will depreciate. So now, today, if I tell you that tomorrow is the central bank meeting, okay, and there is a pandemic going on, and they are expecting interest rates to remain lower, what will you do to the dollar? You will not buy, because you're expecting now dollar to go down. So this is the first economic news which impacts the dollar, and the asset which is closely connected to the dollar is gold, because gold is valued against dollar. So if gold, for example, this is gold and this is $10, tomorrow if dollar becomes weaker, which means earlier I would buy this gold for $10, now because dollar is weaker, so I am able to buy this same gold with $11 or $12. I have to pay more dollars to buy the same gold because dollar is just weaker. So we have seen a kind of inverse relationship between gold and USD. Of course, it doesn't go by the book, but mostly theoretically also, and a lot of time practically, we have seen that dollar and gold, they both are inversely proportional, which means when dollar gets stronger, gold prices get weaker. When dollar gets weaker, gold prices get stronger. So tomorrow, if I tell you that there is a FOMC meeting and there is a lot of expectation and speculation the central bank is going to keep the interest rates low, or they are hinting tomorrow that they are going to keep the interest rates low, then definitely your choice would be more towards buying gold and selling dollar, because dollar is expected to be weaker if the interest rates are kept low. Something what happened in the pandemic, guys, we saw gold prices moving higher in the pandemic. The primary reason of that was the interest rates all around the world were reduced during the pandemic, because if the interest rates increase and borrowing also becomes expensive, then during the lockdown already businesses have suffered. So how they will pick up, right? So that's why the interest rates were kept lower throughout 2020, and we saw gold prices moving higher while dollar diminishing or depreciating to a serious point. Now, that is important news. FOMC meeting happens 8 times in a year. So your market consultant can always keep you posted. So whenever you are trading during the FOMC meeting, you have to be very careful that market volatility will be there. 11 o'clock, the interest rate decision comes during winters. 11:30, there's a press conference. Press conference, where the chairperson and the members of the team of the committee, they talk about what is the future expectation of the interest rates, right? And how the economy is doing. So even the press conference has a lot of cream, and you should definitely wait till the press conference before you start putting tweets. So this is something new which I'm giving to you right now. Always look for the press conference to start and see how the press conference turns up. Only then you trade. Just don't trade on the interest rate decision. Wait for the press conference to happen, because there will be a lot of insights which will come in the press conference. And after that, when the dust is settled, then you go for the trade, right? So this is the first news which you should keep a check on. As I said, I'll definitely take you to the live platform and show you how in your platform you can see this and how you can understand the entire thing. Now comes the other part. Since I said there are dozens of key economic indicators in US alone, and why I'm talking mostly about US, because US, the highest volume of trading is in US. You talk about the top e-commerce company, it's Amazon. You talk about tech company, we are talking about Netflix, Facebook, Tesla's, Microsoft, Boeing, Walmart, Visa, MasterCard. All these are US companies. So I have to revolve around US and US important economic data. Now, we are going to look at a few of the most, again, after FOMC, we can look at something called as GDP. GDP is the total value of goods and services which is produced in US. Now, when I'm talking about US GDP, if I'm talking about Indian GDP or Chinese GDP, then it will be a total value of goods and services which is produced within a specific year or a specific quarter, depending on which GDP you're looking at, quarterly GDP or yearly GDP or monthly. Now, increase in GDP may not actually reflect the very true growth in economy, because this is something which is really important to know, guys. Because sometimes people think that, okay, GDP is increasing, so economy is increasing. But when you're talking about the true growth, so the increase in GDP may not actually reflect the true growth in the economy. Or let's say increase in purchasing power also. Because if the price of goods and services is also rising, and your purchasing power is also rising, then it doesn't mean that your economy is growing. Real GDP, the GDP which the real numbers which you will know, actually subtracts the inflation rate from the GDP to get the real growth percentage. This is really important, guys. I'll give you an example. If you have kept your money in bank and you are receiving 5% interest over it, by the end of the year, you saw that the inflation, the increase in prices of food and commodities is up by 7%. Then your money must have grown by 5%. But the value of your money is -2, because the inflation, the food, the commodities are expensive by 7% higher, and your bank just gave you 5%. So that means that your cash must have grown, but the real value of your money is actually down as of now. So that's what, when we look at GDP numbers, we also need to keep a check on the real GDP also, which reflects the real GDP numbers minus the inflation rate, to understand the real growth percentage also. Both kind of GDP, so the standard GDP and the real GDP, they're reported quarterly, and it comes from a lot of, like basically in US there is Department of Commerce, Bureau of Economic Analysis, they do that. Every quarter, both the GDPs come. So there's a final figure also which is published. Now, the key economic indicator is the real GDP. You should look at the real GDP, because this will be framed in terms of percentage also, percentage increase or percentage decrease. If it is percentage is increasing, then that means businesses are producing a higher value of goods, and this is something which means the businesses are making money, and that means again the living standard of people is increasing. Similarly, if real GDP down, then reverse, right? Now, this is again, guys, one of the factors. Again, as I said, there are many news which comes across. So GDP is one of those news which is that important, and within GDP, I'm talking about the real GDP. Then comes something which is very important, CPI data. I have talked about inflation. I talked about GDP minus inflation is your real GDP. I talked about FOMC. interest rates go up and down only to tweak the inflation, right? So inflation in itself is something which is really important. So there is a separate data for inflation, and most popularly known as consumer price index, right? Consumer price index also, friends, are of two types. One is core consumer price index. Another is just consumer price index. So consumer price index, when we talk about, is the prices of a basket of specific goods and services. So food, transportation price, food prices, clothing prices, medical care, lot of things. And this comes monthly. So basically, what is the increase in the prices of goods and services, right? Then there is core CPI also, and core CPI basically excludes the food and energy prices, because food and oil prices, they fluctuate a lot. Okay, so you see CPI also and you see core CPI also. To get core CPI kind of provides you a better number because it excludes the food and energy prices. But you can also look at the CPI prices, which is a basket of specific goods and services like food, transportation, clothing, medical care, etc. So this is something also which can help you out. Now, one of the most important things, employment indicators. Please keep writing questions. It's going to be more interesting again because I'll take you to the live platform where you can see how to look at the news and the impact of it. Now, employment indicators, most important, and write this down if you have a piece of paper. For day traders, those who are trading daily, employment indicators, the first important indicator is non-farm payroll. Write this down. This is something which is really important. We call it NFP data. It is kind of, it can create an earthquake in the financial markets if the difference is too big. Non-farm payroll data is a data which provides the idea of how many jobs are generated in the previous month in the private sector of US. Private sector of US. It excludes the agriculture and the farming industry. Just the private sector. How many jobs are generated? Along with employment indicators, along with non-farm payroll, unemployment rate also comes every month, first Friday. That what is the unemployment rate of US? And guys, news like this, because labor data is one of the most important data which central bank also keeps a check on before they increase or decrease the interest rates. Imagine if we are the central bank and there is no employment and people don't have jobs, and if I increase the interest rates of the loans, then that means a chaos, right? People already don't have money and now the credit is more expensive, borrowings are more expensive. So it cannot end well. So central bank also keeps a very close watch on the employment indicators, right? Last but not the least, most important, one of the most important data is manufacturing ISM report on manufacturing and services. So this is the data which informs about the manufacturing conditions in economy. So if you're looking at a European manufacturing data, then it tells you about how the manufacturing in US is, whether it is high or low. Same goes about UK or US as well. Now, what are the trading strategies for companies? So what I showed you right now is for commodities, currencies, indices. Stocks can also be affected, but when I say stocks, I mean a stock index. So like those who are from India, you must have heard about BSE, Sensex. It's an index. It tracks the performance of 40, 50 companies within the index, right? So index will get affected due to all these news. Similarly, those who are from US, we're talking about S&P 500. Those who are from Europe, we're talking about German 30 or France 40. Those who are from UK, I'm talking about UK 100. So there is a stock market index. Now, apart from index, and commodities and currencies will get affected by these kind of news. Individual stocks, individual companies, Microsoft, Amazon's, Google, they get impacted through these kind of news. So I'm talking about first, earnings announcement. And I'll give you a strategy with this also while you're looking at the earnings announcement. Click a picture if you can later on, or just look at the recording. Earnings announcement means every company which is listed in stock exchange is obligated to share results and their performance. Because company which is listed in stock exchange is taking people's money, right? You buy shares of these companies, so you invest your money. So they're obligated to disclose every 3 months that how their results, how much earnings they have made, how much profits they have made as compared to the previous quarter, whether it is high or low, as compared to the same quarter but previous year, whether it is high or low. What is the future expectation in the next quarter? How much earnings and profits they're expecting? So all these kind of things a company declares, a company talks about very openly, and this is called the earnings season. Note this down. Every 3 months, starting January, April, July, October, again January. So every 3 months, the earnings of the stocks are disclosed, and these months are the best to trade in stocks because there is so much of volatility that if the earnings come well, the stock might shoot higher. If the earnings come bad, it might shoot down. So you have to be very, very careful when you're trading in during the earnings season. Which are those months? January, April, July, October. These 4 months again are really important, right? So you have to be very careful if you're trading in one of these months in stocks. Your positions can be largely impacted. There's a lot of movement which happens between these months. So first, trading before the announcement happens, something which is called a price action analysis or the earnings announcement. Now let me share the strategy with you right here. Something which we very actively do these days. January again was the month of the earnings, so we created a lot of price action analysis here. I'm sharing one with you here. Okay. Tell me, guys, if you can see this screen on my monitor. So as you can see, this was made on 25th Jan 2021. This has been a very recent flyer, like 10-20 days before, and we have created a lot of these. So this strategy is called price action analysis. Can everybody see this? Give me a yes, please. Give me a yes, please. If everyone can see this. Price action analysis. Still see a lot of people. Please, guys, if you can see this strategy. Okay, yeah. Perfect. Okay, most of you. Okay, perfect. Everybody can see this. Now, price action analysis. These are two companies. One is Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, guys, is involved into it's a plane making, like the fighter planes and everything is manufactured by this company, Lockheed Martin. And then there is American Express, which we all are aware about. So these two companies are supposed to declare their earnings. Now, how you can do a price action analysis? Of course, consultants can help you over here, but I'm just giving an example how you can trade in the earnings season. Now, if you see here, let's take first Lockheed Martin on the left. What we did was we tried to understand. So this was the last quarter earning, Q4 earnings in January. So what we did, we saw that if we enter one day before the earnings. So guys, what the strategy says that you can trade a day before the earnings. Okay, trading a day before earning means this is a strategy when you use economic market events to take trades. The earning was on 26th January. So if you enter on 25th January and exit on 27th, which means enter a day before the earnings and exit the trade a day after the earnings. Now, what we did, how we are trying to tweak this in our end, we checked the last quarter earning movement from 2019, from 2010 to 2019. So last 10 years, we tried to check if you as an investor would have entered one day before earnings and exited one day after the earnings were declared, how the stock prices have moved, irrespective whether the earnings came good or bad. How the stock price would have moved if you have entered a day before the earnings and exited the trade day after the earnings declared. And we took last 10 years and understood the price movement. So if you see, I'll give you an example. In 2019, Lockheed Martin, after the earning was declared, if you bought the stock and exited one day after the earnings at the closing, you would have made 0.3% return. In 2018, 1%. In 2017, 2%. And 2016 till 2012, continuous 5 years, the returns would have been negative. 2010 returns would have been negative. So which means average return, what we have seen in Lockheed Martin, if you enter a day before earning and exit a day after, the average return is negative. The probability of gain in price is 40%. So which makes you understand that, okay, if I have to enter into Lockheed Martin, this may not be the right company, right? Similarly, if you see Lockheed Martin's performance on a month-on-month basis, had you entered 2 days after the earnings and keep this trade for a month, you will see most of the time the trade has shown positive results 1 month after the earnings, right? Look at the difference. Average return 3.4% if you hold this stock for 1 month. That's what an average. Maximum gain 11%. Maximum loss 7%, but 80% probability price. Same if you see for American Express. If you hold it down for a longer period of time, the average return is higher. But on the day of earnings, one day before and exit the day after, this particular stock has shown negative. Now, this is something which you have to understand. Not every stock will have the same stats. If we talk about Apple or Microsoft or Walmart or Visa, MasterCard, their numbers might differ, right? So what we are able to do is we are able to find out a price action analysis by combining this particular fundamental event. Okay, so when the earnings are about to come, we are preparing this kind of analysis and we are talking to the clients, we are talking to everyone and discussing about what's their strategy during the earnings season. So this is something which can really help you out in understanding the impact of the earnings during the specific time. So that is one way you can trade into stocks. Second is fundamentals trading. Obviously, a consultant can help to understand how much is the how the balance sheet of a particular stock is. So we are talking about, or if there is any fundamental news, like for example, we have seen stocks related to renewable energy going higher after Joe Biden became the president, because Democratic stand has been more inclined towards renewable sources of energy, right? So all those renewable companies have gone up. During the pandemic, the work from home stocks like Zoom Technology, Netflix, Amazon, Alibaba, all these companies went up because the sentiment is more inclined towards these kind of companies, because you're not going to go out during the pandemic and buy stuff yourself. So Amazon stock went up. Netflix, everybody stayed at home, watched Netflix. So the Netflix user base went up. So the stock prices went up. Third is analyst recommendations. Sometimes what happens, there are a lot of Wall Street analysts which give out their recommendations. And a lot of analysts, they are tracking these stocks. And when they give out recommendations, it could be positive, like could be a buy recommendation, could be a sell recommendation, could be a hold recommendation. And sometimes when such upgrades and downgrades happen, it impacts the price of the stock. So that is also a very important market event. Second last, acquisition or takeover. So whenever there's a news of a merger or an acquisition or a takeover, it kind of impacts the stock prices also. So in the past, whichever company has been taken over or whichever company has been acquired, those company prices go high. Whether it was Baker Hughes, whether it was any other company, whenever the merger or the acquisition happens, the company which is being acquired, normally the stock prices start going higher, right? So that is also something which you can trade into. This is one of the most important fundamental. Then there is stock splits. Stock splits not really have a very positive impact, but it definitely doesn't have a negative impact. Stock split simply means that if Amazon prices, tell me what is the Amazon price right now, guys, on the chat. Take a just a assumption. What is the Amazon stock price? One share of Amazon is how much? Take a guess. I mean, I would appreciate if you don't Google it. And if you can just take a guess, if you Google it also no problem, but just take a guess. How much one share of Amazon, if you have to Amazon, yeah, okay, I got one answer. If you have to buy one share of Amazon, how much do you think you would need? Yeah, I got 2, 3 answers. Okay, surprisingly very accurate. Okay, good if you're updated with it, but let's say even if you've checked from Google, no problem. This is at least it's more interactive that way. Okay, others, those who have not answered, go ahead, guys. Just take a guess. You don't really have to search. Take a guess. If you have to buy one share of Google, I'm saying, sorry, one share of Amazon, how much it would be? One share of Amazon. 500, 200, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, how much it is? Okay, 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 perfect, great. So a lot of people interested in, great. So one share of Amazon is obviously around the price which has been mentioned, 3,000, 3,265. To see the exact price of Amazon, let me take you to the live trading platform where you'll be able to see right here the Amazon prices and how it is moving currently. 32.78. Today market is closed due to a holiday, but that's the closing price which we have seen, and 3278. So that's right. And look, during the pandemic, let me show you what happened during the pandemic. Let me take you 2 years. So definitely the price which you see here and the fall which you see, this is the last 1 year fall. You see closely this time, this was the pandemic fall, and then it just recovered and continued to go higher. So definitely, I mean, this is the stock which never stops to surprise us. But that being said, so now if you're looking at Amazon, it's a $3,200 stock. Sometimes companies, to make it easier for the investors, they break down the stock, they split the stock price. So if you have, say, one stock which you have purchased at 3,200, then they go for a stock split, which means 5 stocks at $600 each. So the idea is to make stock more tradable. So this is definitely a positive news, but it may or may not be the reason for the stock to go up, but it will definitely be not the reason for the stock to go down. So you don't really see a stock split happening and the stock going down, because mostly it is taken as a positive symbol. But so these are few things which you can definitely use before you are looking into stock. These are some fundamentals which you can look at. Earnings season, as I said, I told you how to interpret the earnings season. You have to look 3 things. One is EPS, which is your earning per share, revenue, and forward outlook. Earning per share, when I say earning per share, whatever the net income of the company, they subtract dividends out of it, and whatever the money which is left, divided by the number of shareholders they have. So per share, the earning is created. That is not something which you as a shareholder receives. That is just an idea of how your capital is being utilized. If the earning per share today is higher than the previous quarter, then obviously the company is doing well. So it is one of the most important indicator which you have to see when you are trading in the earnings season, right? Second is, as I said, revenue. Revenue means how much revenue it was in the previous quarter and how much it is now. Should definitely keep a check on it. And then the forward outlook. What is expected next? No matter how much good revenue and earnings you have this quarter, but if your outlook for the next quarter is slow or not good, then the stock price will mostly go down. Remember this, guys, always. Sometimes the best of us make these mistakes. We do not wait for the future outlook. We see the earning per share and revenue and we jump on it. But we definitely have to see the future outlook also. If the next quarter is expected to be slow, then the market will definitely short sell the stock. They will definitely sell the stock because the future expectation is not up to the standards which the Wall Street expected. So that is also something which you have to check. Now let me take you to the live platform and show you how you can take a trade when you are looking at the key economic indicators. First of all, when you enter into the platform, click on news and analysis and you will see a market calendar. Market calendar shows you all the important economic data I talked about and a lot more important economic data. Like you see over here, there is something called business confidence, economic sentiment, housing stats. These kind of news are also really important, guys. And you have to see that as a trader on day basis, this news is something which can really impact you. Now, if you can see today, the most of the news came from Japan, right? We talked about GDP data, which came in the morning, 3:50 a.m. Again, GDP data, which came 3:50. Now, let me show you the impact of this. I hope everybody is watching this live now. Okay, wait, I think, yeah, everybody is watching this data. Just look at this, and this is really important, guys. Today, the first flag is Japan's flag, right? GDP annualized quarter on quarter. The previous was 21%. So this time they forecasted 9.5%, and the actual came 12.7%. Again, GDP quarter on quarter. Last time it was 5%. This time they expected 2.3%, but it came 3%. So it did definitely beat the forecast, but then it is still below the previous numbers. Now, this came 3:50 in the morning. Okay. Let me show you the Japanese index, which is Japan 225. How did the index reacted? So the news came 3:50 a.m. in the morning. I will see it today. Now look at this, guys. This is exactly what I wanted to show you right here. Look at this price. At 4 o'clock or at 4:30 onwards, we saw Japanese markets going down. But look at this right here. Looking at every 5 minutes. Looking at every 5 minutes. And check this out. This particular candle, this is at 4 a.m. 4 a.m., 4:10, 4:15, 4:20. And this is when the data came out, 3:50, right here. Look at this, right here. Let me increase the text size of it. See, this is 3:50 when the data came out. The moment after the GDP numbers came out, because it was higher than the forecast, from 29,729 yen, in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, we saw Japanese index from 29,000 going to 30,000, 29,700 to 30,010. So it went up by 300 yen in those 10 minutes after the news came out. Okay, I'm getting a mixed text. Can everyone hear me, please? I think I just have to test again because a couple of people just sent me the text. This is a very important piece of information, so I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. I'm going to repeat this again. Just give me a yes if you can hear me right now. Okay, now, so let me just tell you this thing, what I just discussed, because a few of you were not able to hear me. We saw the GDP data of this. So the GDP data, when we saw, it came out at 3:50 a.m. and better than expected, right? And what happened to the Japanese index at 3:50 a.m.? This is the 5-minute candle, so I'm showing you the time also. Look at this, 3:50 a.m. right here. This is the data when the data came out, and after the 5 minutes of the data, we saw Japanese index moving for the next 20 minutes higher from 29,726 all the way to 30,000. It did came down again to 29,800. So see the impact of the data when it comes in, what happens. So this is something which is really, that's why I told you, for day-to-day traders, long-term traders or long-term investors, they don't have to look very closely to this kind of information because their positions are way longer, 1 year or 2 years, it doesn't affect. But somebody who's trading today, day on day, next 30, 40 minutes, see how in the next 20 minutes, your position has completely changed after the data, right? So that's why you have to keep a close watch on this kind of calendar. Now, if I see, okay, yesterday was Saturday, Sunday, there was no data. Let's see on Friday if there was something which could have changed the attention. Like, for example, look at UK GDP year on year. It was expected minus 9.6%, and it came minus 7.8. The forecasted was minus 8%, and it came minus 7.8, right? Which is better than the previous data, which was minus 9.6, right? Now, this was at 11 a.m. So if I see UK 100, which is a UK stock market index, and this was on Friday, so I'd go 3 days, increase the text size. Friday was 12th. Okay, guys, look at this. I'm taking you to Friday 12th around 11 a.m. So this is when the GDP data came, right? 11, sorry. Okay, this is around 11 when the GDP data came. And if you see in the next 30-35 minutes, we saw UK index going up from 6,500 to 6,530 and then coming down again and getting corrected. After that, again, it eventually moved higher in the evening. And then if you see after that GDP data, it has gone all the way to 6,600 and further to 6,700 also. And this all happened in a span of 2 to 3 days after the GDP data came out. So this is, guys, this is something which happens a lot. That's why you have to keep a close check on. That's why I want to do this session to make you understand that when you are looking at GDP numbers, first thing which gets impacted is the stock index of that particular country. So whenever the next GDP data is, be careful and always look at the index and for a very short term period again. This may have mostly a short term impact, not a very long term impact. So this is for the day traders which you can look into. Now, similarly, if you go back to the calendar, which is the next data coming after today, there will be a tomorrow where we'll see business confidence. Now look at GDP. Now the GDP of Europe is expected to be bad when we see the year on year. It was minus 4.4 previously. It is forecasted to be minus 5.1, which means if you're looking at any European index or a German index, then you have to be ready to see the impact of this. If the actual data tomorrow at 2 p.m., the time is mentioned here, tomorrow at 2 p.m., the data is not good, then we might see a decline in the index for a shorter period of time before it bounces back. So for day-to-day traders, this could be a good point to enter and exit and try to make profits. Now, Wednesday, there will be more data coming from Japan, coming from UK, US, retail sales, industrial production. Retail sales, guys, when we talk about retail sales, that means we're talking about the change in the total value of sales by retailers in US. Why do traders care about it? It is mentioned here on the platform. US retail sales figure is an important measure of consumer demand. So if retail sales are growing, which means consumer demand and spending is growing. Increased retail sales means higher retail output and economic growth as consumer spending makes up the majority of the activity. So guys, these kind of data, there's something which is which can really help you out in understanding, right? Now, I'll take a few questions, guys. If anybody has questions regarding this, we have mostly finished the entire session. Now, if you have any questions, I'll take it, whether related to normal investments, financial markets, cryptos, any doubts if anyone has. Okay, somebody's asking, can we have a demo account? Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I mean, that is something which I always encourage. If you want to look at the market calendar, take a few trades also. First of all, you can definitely book a one-on-one session with me. Clients or no clients, this is something which we are anyways, this is an initiative which essentially has started years ago, and learning is something which should continue. So anyone who wants to have a one-on-one session with me, learn more about these things, how you can trade, I'm definitely available. Check with your relationship managers and we can connect on Zoom call. We are taking precautions in our offices as well. We are maintaining social distancing also. I'm in an enclosed cabin right now, otherwise I have my mask ready. So we can have either way, whether it is Zoom or a personal one-on-one meeting, we can have a meeting in a room and keep a strong distance, and still we can talk about it. Okay, somebody asked me about explaining GDP a little more. So GDP, so normally when we say GDP talk about gross domestic products. Also, one more question. Always markets will follow these parameters. See, the examples which I gave you right now of Japanese index, UK index, it shows at least one thing, that this is a basic kind of a parameter which markets should follow. Sometimes, as you can say in layman language, that there are bigger fishes to fry. So if there is a pandemic going on, or if there is a trade war going on, maybe a slight increase or decrease in GDP may not affect the index, because there is a bigger fish to fry. There's a bigger news in the market. But otherwise, these kind of parameters should definitely impact the short-term trading decisions. So yes, the GDP, as I said, somebody asked me about to explain the GDP a little more. So GDP, we talk about GDP, the gross domestic product. The very meaning of GDP itself means, imagine the total final value of everything which is produced in a country and the services. So if there is even if there is a bottle of water which is produced in your country, so whatever is the value of this bottle, it is a part of the GDP, right? If there is a teacher who is doing a service, so whatever income he makes, that is the value of his service. So the final value of the goods and the services which is produced within the geographical boundaries of any country during a specified period of time, could be for a quarter if you're looking at quarterly GDP, could be a year. Mostly they take it as a year. Okay, and this is one of the important indicator. So you add up all the money which the consumers have spent, which businesses have spent, which government has spent, combine it completely, right? All the money which has been spent versus all the money which has been received by all these people. So this is called basically the GDP. And it's very simple, guys. Normally, it's higher the economy is, more business it has, increase the size of the economy is higher, then most commonly the GDP will also be higher, depending, again, it should perform well also. So there will be different kinds of GDPs also. Somewhere people see the production, somewhere people see the income, somewhere people see the expenditure. Depending on that, GDP is calculated. But then for you, it is important to understand that GDP is just used to measure the economic progress. If GDP is rising, which means economy is in solid shape, nation is moving fine, they're moving forward. If GDP is falling, then economy might be in trouble, it might be losing the ground. So few things I think we should be, make it much more simpler. Few things which are not included in GDP is obviously the illegal sales of services and goods. So anything which is illegal is not a part of the GDP, but otherwise any transfer payments and everything is included. When we talk about, even if you talk about food, the value of food which is produced and consumed by the farm households, it is counted in GDP. So this is something which is there, and this is something, again, which you can always look into. Can you tell more about cryptos? We can start investing other than Bitcoins that are cheap. Yes, I mean, there are, before I switch to cryptos, yeah, I'm anyways on my platform, so I'll definitely show you the kind of cryptos which we have here, right here. So these are few cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Cardano, Dash, EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, Neo, Stellar, and Tron. Some of you, as you can see, something like Dash, which is $276, something like Neo, for example, is $44. The rally which happened in 2017 was because of most of the retail investors, they started investing. But this 2020 rally which has happened is due to the institutional interest. Now institutional investors are getting into it, and the key driving endorsement was by Tesla when they talked about how they have bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin. So after that happened, we saw the Bitcoin prices going higher. Now, obviously, there are a lot of other cryptocurrencies which have moved on the likes of Bitcoin. Bitcoin can be a little more expensive, but if we are looking at it, let's say, for example, look at this particular currency, Ethereum, for example. Let's take Ethereum first because Ethereum has also actually rallied a lot. I'm showing you a chart of Ethereum right now. So from 597 on 31st December, it has gone to 1800. Again, high. 2021, the concept is still expected. The cryptos are still expected to be going ahead and higher because blockchain in itself is now getting a lot of attention in businesses. So that is again something which is of an highlight which you should keep a check on. So when we are talking about, let's say, this Ethereum, we have seen a rally. If you see any other platform, any other cryptocurrency, if you want to buy Ethereum, first of all, let me tell you, this is the buying price. You have $100,000 in your account, so you want to buy $100,000 worth Ethereum, right? 100,000, 54 units. Since these are leverage-based platforms, so the margin which will be blocked, it will be very limited. So to buy $100,000 worth of Ethereum, you just have to block $5,000 from your 100,000. Click on buy, and there you just bought it. As compared to e-wallet, the CFD platforms are much more safer in terms of security because this cannot be hacked. Even if somebody hacks your password in the trading account, they will not be able to withdraw any money because the withdrawal destination is connected to your bank account. And to change that destination, somebody has to submit only your bank account statement because third-party withdrawals cannot happen. So people are more inclined towards trading the price difference in the form of derivatives rather than opening e-wallets, right? Also, for more information, you want to learn about cryptos, definitely I'm available. Let's have a one-on-one training session so you can have your own demo platform as well, and you can definitely understand this. Question, how calculation of GDP is done? So GDP can be calculated. Again, as I said, you add up all the money spent by the consumers, businesses, and governments. You can also add all the money which you have received by all the participants in the economy. So basically, when we are talking, GDP is measured in percentage terms, right? So it is basically when you see it is X amount billion of GDP. So if you see how much is the GDP of US, it will be dash 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 billion. So if I have to find out right now, for example, US GDP is $21.4 trillion in 2019. So as I said, it is the total value of the goods and services. So that value is in dollars itself, right? Because the money is involved. So calculation of GDP again can be, because as I said, there are a lot of different parameters how the calculation of GDP happens. There are a lot of formulas also. There are guides and examples as well. If you're looking for the exact formula to understand how the calculation of GDP happens, if you're looking at a expenditure approach, then you add the consumption of all the private consumers, right? Including durable goods, non-durable goods, services, everything. Add on with the total government expenditure, including the government employees' salaries, construction, building of roads, school, military, everything. And then you also add the total investments of the country, which is spent on housing and inventories and capital equipment, right? Then you add the net exports of the country, because that's the most important, right? Export and import. So the whatever is the next net exports, which means the total export minus the importing. Net export means total export minus the import. Whatever it is, the net export, that should also be added along with the consumption and expenditure. So this is something which is, if you're looking at expenditure-based approach. If you're looking at income-based approach, then you add the total national income. And national income means all wages, rent, interest, profits, everything combined. You add national income also, you add sales tax also, you add depreciation also, you add any foreign factor income. For example, total income, what the citizens have and the companies have, which they generate in foreign countries. For example, today, if I am a citizen of India and I come for a seminar in Dubai and get paid, which means this is my net foreign factor income. Because I am the citizen of India, it still goes into my GDP, right? So this is normally how you do it. You want more information, definitely, so let's connect one-on-one and be able to explain you more. Another question, what is the safest item to trade for a beginner? Very good question, very important question. Most important question is, if you're a beginner, please avoid cryptocurrency. If you are a beginner, never trade in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies. It's not for people who are beginners at this point in time, because cryptos have a lot of risk. As a beginner, you can definitely start first to trade. You can start with stock indices by keeping stop losses. If to invest, definitely go for a few companies and stocks which give you fixed dividend. Dividend is something which you receive on the total stocks. Okay, so companies like Coca-Cola, Vodafone, they have very good dividends. You can buy those companies and receive dividends, and they will be very less volatile. So as a new person, you should not be exposed to too much volatility. Which item is tradable, which doesn't require much follow-up and less risk? See, if you are trading, let me clarify the difference between trading and long-term investment. If you are trading day on day, few things which you have to do is, whatever you trade into, gold or commodities or currencies, anything, or a stock market index also, you should always keep a stop loss, which means if it reaches to this price, your loss will be booked, and a take profit. Then you don't have to see it throughout your day, because you have put a stop loss and take profit. You're even when you're not watching this, like for example, let me show you here. If this is Ethereum, now I will sleep in the night, I won't be able to see this, so I can put a stop loss and take profit right here, which means my loss should not be more than $500. I press enter, and my profit should be booked at $1,000. I press enter. So when I modify this, you will see that the stop loss and take profit, which means if my loss is $500, automatically my trade will be closed, whether I'm watching it or not. And if my profit reaches to 1,000, whichever comes first, it will take my trade. Now, if you're doing day trades, it is highly advised to keep a stop loss and take profit so that you can sleep properly and your risk is managed. If you're talking about the investment, then definitely something which you don't have to do much follow-up. You can invest into some good stocks which move very less, because if you invest into Amazons and Teslas, they move a lot. So you definitely have to try. But something on the likes of MLA Capital, or something like Visa or Vodafone or Verizon, Coca-Cola, AT&T, these kind of companies, they move less and they give you a fixed dividend also. So I can definitely find out some good companies which gives you a quarterly dividend, like a fixed income. Capital appreciation and depreciation can still happen, but fluctuations will be less as compared to the regular Amazons and Teslas. So you won't have that kind of adventure in your portfolio. So we can definitely devise something for you that is there. Another question, how we can open a live account? Live account is very easy. You just have to submit documents, passport copy, visa page, and fill a form online, and it will be done. Your relationship manager can assist you with it. So if you want to do that, I would suggest even before you open the live account, have a training session tomorrow or day after, whenever you guys are free, and we can have a one-on-one session and first understand the risk and then go for it. So that will be much easier for you to find out. Also, does Century helps in drafting of any portfolios? Definitely. I mean, if you want to shortlist which stocks are good for dividends or top picks of 2021, we have all of such portfolios. If you request your RMs, they will definitely be able to provide you also. And we are constructing these portfolios, so we'll definitely help you out as a consultant. That is something which we are primarily doing, apart from the complete platform training and such kind of webinars. Right? And if you see this Ethereum, you have 54 units of Ethereum. Since even if it's a leveraged platform, right now you have bought Ethereum exactly worth the money which you have, 100,000. So you see it moving up and down, and I have put my stop loss and take profit, so I can actually just go home and sleep and do not worry about it. Either my loss will get hit and trade will be closed, or my profit will get hit and trade will be closed. This is something which you can do in all the instruments. Also, if you want to go for long-term investments, exchange traded funds. or share baskets is also a good idea. This is something which you can see right here in the product library. Share baskets, which are very thematic. For example, if you want to invest into driverless cars, so there is a basket for driverless cars, which gives you an exposure in companies like Tesla, Google, Volvo, all those companies which are manufacturing driverless cars or are able to provide you the technology of driverless cars. This is a very good idea to spread your risk into different companies if you're interested in one sector. Right. So I'll take any one or two more questions if anyone has, or we can just wrap up the session. And definitely, I'm looking forward for a one-on-one session as well, guys. These are free of cost sessions, so don't worry about this. If you want a much more understanding of the portfolios, you want to have more and more understanding of which stocks to invest into, we'll definitely provide you that. Just talk to your relationship managers, have a session, book a session with me, and tell me a day prior. I'm working on Fridays as well. So if Fridays is good to you, then we can always have a session on Zoom, or you can come to the office and we can definitely do this session. So thank you so much, guys. Once again, can you go for crypto without leverage like stocks? You can. See, margin will still be blocked, but currently the trade which I have taken, I had $100,000 in my account, and the trade which I have taken right now is worth $100,000. So even margin is blocked, but because it's a derivative, so it will always be in the form of margin. But right now, until Ethereum goes to zero, you can still hold this particular currency in your account, in your trading account, right? Otherwise, if I would have taken $1 million position in a 100,000 account, then this would have been riskier. Okay, where is your office in Abu Dhabi? We are not currently there in Abu Dhabi, but we are definitely because we have been in Abu Dhabi a lot of times, but we have taken one of those SurfCorp offices and trade centers. We used to come for temporary seminars. But right now, our entire team is looking forward to step into Abu Dhabi also. Till then, if you need a session on Zoom, I'll be available. So don't worry. I mean, distance should not be a problem. I understand that for anyone to come from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, there will be a lot of tests and everything required. So definitely, that's a privilege which you have. I will have a Zoom call with you. So if you want, I can give you an office tour as well and send you a necessary information, whatever you need to know. And whenever you come in towards Dubai side, you can definitely visit our office. We are open 24/7 because Monday to Friday, anyways, markets are open, and Saturday, Sunday research is there. So we are definitely working 24/7. We can always meet anytime. Right. So I finished. Once again, thank you so much for coming. And on behalf of Century Financial, my team, myself, and my entire family, if you have anyone right now who is working in healthcare industry, in medical industry, or if you have relatives, friends, or family, close family in medical industry, on behalf of my entire team, my family, and myself, thank you so much for doing what you have done. Pandemic was a very, very tough time. It's a very tough time for all of us. I wish my entire team wishes you a very good health. And once again, a big vote of thanks for anyone who's into the medical and healthcare industry. You guys have been risking out your lives for us. And that's the definition of the real hero. There is no way that any one of us could do what you all guys are doing. So if you have anyone in your friend and family, please do pass the message. Convey my thanks and vote of regards. We'll definitely connect once again. Thank you so much. My name is Yogesh, and have a safe night. Be invested and keep learning more and more. Definitely we'll be back with another session with another topic. Until then, if you want any one-on-one sessions, I'll be available. Have a good night then.